Welcome to today's genealogy short take, a few census tips when researching women. Let's start with the U.S. federal census records. Finding a woman's maiden name can be difficult, and marriage records, whether they are civil records or church records, often provide that information. Census records often give clues to the year of marriage, such as the 1850, 1860, and 1880 censuses. A mark in the boxed off column means that the person was married during the year preceding the official census date. In 1870, the census asks, if married within the year, state the month. The 1900 and 1910 censuses ask the number of years married. In this example, it's 35 years. 1930 asks the age at first marriage. Here, Ramsey Best was 19 years old when he was first married, and his wife Louise was 35 years old when she was first married. So it's clear that Louise Best's husband was married at least once before. That's because he's 20 years older than her. The 1910 census asks the number of marriage. Here we see that Rose Maxmowski was married once, and her husband Vincent was married more than once, as indicated by the M2. The 1900 and 1910 censuses asked the number of children born and the number still living. Agnes Hoffman's numbers are 5 children and 5 were still living. Looking at this household, there are 7 children listed as the children of Stephen Hoffman. Therefore, if Agnes only gave birth to 5, barring adoption, Stephen was likely married at least once before Agnes. The 1940 and 1950 censuses have extra questions if your ancestor happened to fall on certain lines on the census schedule. This example is from 1950, and the boxed off lines are those that would have been asked extra questions. Here are the example questions from 1950. At the bottom of the screen are very important personal details. It asks if the person was ever married, and then the marital status should have been listed. Has this person been married more than once? How many years since this person was last married, widowed, divorced, or separated? And if female and ever married, how many children has she ever borne, not counting stillbirths? Next, let's look at New York State Census records. New York State took extra censuses between 1825 and 1925. And sometimes those state census records have more detail in them than the federal census records that are close to the same time frame. For federal censuses from 1850 through 1870, you'll often see families listed like this one, where Benjamin Davis is the head of household and Patience Davis is listed with him, and then several children. The relationship to head of household isn't stated, so we'll commonly see the oldest female of the house be listed as the inferred spouse, and then the children to be listed as the head of household's inferred children. Here's the same family in 1865, and what we see is that Patience Davis, who was listed as an inferred spouse, is actually his sister. The 1865 and 1875 censuses list marriages that happened during the year prior to the official census date. The bride and groom are named, ages are given, and prior marital status is given. For the bride, her maiden name is put in parentheses. The last columns list the type of marriage: clergy, civil, or by declaration before witnesses. This helps us know where to look for marriages but it also gives the church's denomination if the ceremony took place in the church. Even if your direct line ancestor isn't listed here, look for family members if you don't know the family's religion. Of course, it's also possible that this is a mixed religion marriage. From 1855 to 1875, they list the county of birth if the person was born in New York State. This is an incredible piece of information since New York vital records were not kept until the 1880s. When you're looking for your ancestors in the 1855 through 1875 censuses, look at nearby families to see who was also born in those counties. They may be relatives. In this example, I was looking for Mary Bentley, who was born in Delaware County. Jane Brundage, Delilah Woodcock, and the Hugh Burroughs family were all born in Delaware County. We hope these tips help with finding your female ancestors. For more information about census records, see the links to the right of the screen. Thank you so much for joining us.